Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Coming to you on, what day is it today? I've lost track of the day. Thursday, the 11th of June. Bringing you the best way to start your day, up to date with all the important sports news. And today, Major League Soccer to get Disney treatment, ICC defer T20 decision, injuries impacting Super Rugby before kickoff, troubling times for Benji Marshall, and today is the day that I could become a professional sports athlete. The New Zealand NBL draft is happening this evening. To kick us off, we'll start with that football news. And over in the UK, the English Football League says that the threat of both clubs going bust has not gone away. The already League One and Two have voted to cancel and end their season. However, there are some clubs threatening to do legal action, and that's Tranmere and Peterborough. Obviously, they're teams that are involved in promotion or relegation situations. Also, relegation from the League Two is up in the air because Macclesfield have already had 11 points deducted and have two more currently suspended. And they're facing another charge of late payment of salaries to players. And if that goes ahead, 3 more points would be deducted, which would place them in relegation below Stevenage, who are currently bottom of League Two. So all up in the air there over in the English Football League. Over in Major League Soccer, and they are going to be restarting their league at the Disney World Resorts in Florida, the same place as the NBA are looking to play their games as well. So all 26 Major League Soccer clubs are going to be in the competition. It will start on the 8th of July, be a month-long tournament through till the 11th of August, and it will include qualification spots for the CONCACAF Champions League. So things getting off the ground there in the USA. Over in Australia, though, things are not so positive, and players coming out and fuming about the lack of transparency of what is going on there in the discussions between themselves, the league, the FFA, and the TV rights holder as well. They've verbally agreed a massive cut. We're talking 80% for the top players over there, and yet 2 weeks later, they still haven't heard whether Fox Sports and the FFA have agreed to kick off the sport. So really arguing over there, which is not helping things at all. Over in Europe, and a historic deal has been signed by Ada Herberg. She has partnered in a deal with Nike that's apparently worth over €1 million in a deal that goes on for at least a decade. So a massive deal there, and showing the strength of women's soccer over in Europe. And I'm going to hand you over to Ashwin, who's going to take us through our cricket update.
Good morning, Paul, and good morning to all our viewers and listeners out there today. And in our cricket news, the ICC has deferred the T20 decision for the Men's World Cup. As reported in yesterday's morning sports briefing, the ICC met overnight to discuss the fate of the Men T20 World Cup. Well, that decision is no decision, and they have deferred any decision on both the Men's T20 World Cup and the Women's ODI World Cup to give itself, quote, the best possible opportunity to make a right decision for the sport. They have agreed to continue planning for both tournaments as per schedule, as well as map out contingencies. So we'll keep you posted as soon as we hear anything more out of the ICC on both tournaments. The next scheduled decision is planned for next month. Now, old Black Caps all-rounder Daryl Mitchell is moving from Northern Districts to Canterbury. Mitchell's the son of former All Blacks coach John Mitchell and has played all his cricket from junior grades all the way through to making it to the Black Caps for Northern Districts. The move has been made with all internationals likely to be playing domestically this year in New Zealand cricket. And with Colin de Grandhomme moving to Northern Districts, that could have meant limited time for Daryl Mitchell's opportunities in the pink jersey of Northern Districts. So he's made that decision to move down to Christchurch, where his partner is also from. Sophie Devine has advocated the use of a smaller cricket ball in women's game to encourage more attacking cricket. Currently, the women's ball is slightly smaller, with the women's ball weighing between 140 to 151 grams compared to the men's at 155.9 to 163 grams. Speaking on the ICC Innovation webinar, Devine has suggested that the smaller ball could help the game flourish. With the smaller ball, bowlers could bowl quicker, the spinners would be able to get more turn on the ball, and the batters would be able to hit the ball further. Meanwhile, in the same webinar, Jemima Rogers from India has suggested shortening the pitch to 22 yards. And we'll talk about how much easier it is to turn the smaller ball tonight with Taz, Taryn and Rohit right here on New Zealand Sport Radio on Swinging from the Hip. Now that's tonight at 8 p.m. New Zealand time. We'll see you there. Thanks, Paul. Nope, we can't hear Paul. Paul?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashwin, and have a wonderful day. I'm going to hand you over to Stephen, who'll take us through our birthdays.
Yeah, I'm still. Good morning, everybody. I'm still trying to get my head around a smaller size cricket ball. If you want to hit it further, maybe you should just take the boundaries out a little bit, mate. But that's just me. Anyway, forward. What do you think, Ashwin? Just take the boundaries out a little bit further.
Well, you mean bring them in a bit further, or you because
take them out further. Take them out further from what I've seen in the women's game. And I say this with great respect. They tend to bring the boundaries in a bit. I reckon they should just take them out a wee bit.
Well, I think so. And when you've actually is quite irony is not the right word actually at all, but it's great in fact that Sophie Devine's mentioning this because she's one of the batters that actually clears the full boundary. She puts it over the fence, not just over the boundary rope that's been brought in. So they could do that. I've long advocated in a few sports, rugby as well, that the smaller ball will actually help them. The fact is that they'll get more control. It's just a physical thing, isn't it? The female's hands are smaller, and therefore to be able to impart more work on the ball means that it's more difficult. So it's great that Sophie Devine said it. I think if any of us had said it, we'd get in a bit of trouble. But actually, I think it's along the right lines. I think shortening the pitch might not be such a great idea, but at the end of the day, give it a go. Do some trial matches and see what the impact is. If it makes the game more dynamic, it's good for the game. That's what it is. And the women's game, although it's been building and it's becoming a better and better spectacle as they progress their development. There's nothing wrong with giving it a slight tweak to make it more dynamic. I mean, that's what all sport's about now, is trying to make it any sport, not just cricket, but any sport more dynamic.
Well, if you want to tune in for the long version of that particular opinion, tune in to Swinging from the Hip at 8 p.m. tonight. Everybody needs to get to work, Ashwin,
What is this work you speak of?
Yeah, what is this? In birthdays this morning, a 2019 Rugby World Cup squad member, an NRL coach, and ironically enough, and finally, a one-day cricket specialist, and that's where we start this morning. Mitchell McClenaghan, born this day, the 11th of June 1986, is a New Zealand international cricketer who plays limited overs internationals. Domestically, he plays for Auckland in New Zealand. McClenaghan is a left-arm fast bowler. He is the fastest bowler to take 50 wickets for New Zealand in one-day internationals. McClenaghan celebrates his 34th birthday today. Moving on, Stephen Kearney, born this day, the 11th of June 1972, is a New Zealand professional rugby league football coach who is the head coach of the New Zealand Warriors in the NRL and a former player. Kearney, who celebrates his 48th birthday today, played for both Parramatta Eels and New Zealand Warriors, and he represented the Kiwis between 2008 and 2016, racking up 42 games. And finally, Nepo Laulala, born this day, the 6th of November 1991, is a New Zealand rugby union footballer who plays as a tight head prop for Counties Manukau Steelers in the Mitre 10 Cup, the Chiefs in Super Rugby, and for the national team, the All Blacks. Having made his international debut in 2015, he was a member of New Zealand's 2019 Rugby World Cup squad and has been a regular starter for New Zealand since 2017. And Laulala celebrates his 29th birthday today, and I think Paul's got a little bit more news in and around Nepo Laulala. Not good news, Paul.
No, it's not good news, is it, at all? It's talking about injuries and in Super Rugby, and let's get on to those now. The Chiefs have managed to be relatively injury-free this season after a couple of years of being injury hit, but now that seems to have gone the other way for them. Atu Moli will not play again this season. He has got to undergo FIA surgery on both his left and right hips to treat a chronic hip dysfunction. So we wish him all the best with his surgery. Also, Sam Cane has got a stiff back and so will not be available this weekend either. But that's considered a minor injury, so hopefully he will be back. And this is on top of Michael Allardyce, Langland, Farnell, who are both gone for the season, both locks, and also winger Sam McNichol is out as well. They've drafted in Tupu Va'ai, who from Taranaki, the 2-meter tall lock. So we'll see how well he goes and wish him all the best with the Chiefs. Moving on and going on to the Hurricanes, and Geordie Barrett is also being ruled out of this weekend's action. His anticipated game against his brother will not, or matchup against his brother will not go ahead. He has apparently had got a shoulder injury. The length of how long he'll be out for is up in the air. The Hurricanes are saying that it's will be monitored. Chase Tiatia from Bay of Plenty, it looks like he'll get his shot in that 15 jersey for what is looking like going to be a bumper crowd up there at Eden Park, where they're talking of a crowd of about 35,000 will be turning up with 30,000 tickets already sold. Looking at the weather, looks like it's going to be dry and not too windy either on Sunday up in Auckland. So yes, get up to that game. Weather obviously not an issue down in Dunedin as they play inside Forsyth Bar for their game. And again, the tickets for the Zoo selling very, very well. 4,000 tickets gone already, about 1,000 left available for the Zoo, plus other parts of the ground selling well. So a good atmosphere expected on Saturday for the Highlanders versus the Chiefs as well. I'm going to hand you back to Stephen, who's going to take us through our rugby league update.
Yeah, although it's probably sounding a little bit like cricket with Ashwin and I having a bit of a chat about the 11-man game. But it's to rugby league where we go, and not a great week for Kiwis. Playmaker Benji Marshall, who has been sent home from a West Tigers training session today over a biosecurity breach. The West Tigers co-captain was involved in a social distancing incident with 7 News Sydney reporter Michelle Bishop, which was immediately brought to the attention of the NRL as per guidelines. Under the guidelines, there is to be no contact with anybody outside of the bubble aside from people in their homes, which have been pre-approved by the NRL. No one from outside the bubble, including media and other club staff, are allowed inside clean zones at games and training sessions. 9 News has reported a kiss on the cheek was what resulted in Marshall's separation from the team. Assuming a negative result is returned, no further action will be required by Marshall or West Tigers. Bishop has since apologised for the hiccup on Twitter, confirming she was on her way to a testing centre. Just goes to show we can all get caught up in life and forget what kind of world we are living in at the moment, Bishop wrote. In other league news this morning, Josh Adokar is considered the fastest man in rugby league, but he's about to be knocked off that perch by a kid known to his teammates as the Cheetah, aptly named. Hamiso Tapuai Fido is the 18-year-old who's been banging down the door for an NRL debut ever since lighting up the Perth Nines earlier this year. He will line up on the wing for North Queensland when they take on the Warriors at Central Coast Stadium on Friday. He finished the Nines as the tournament's equal top try scorer and had fans off their seats with a number of long-range sprints which simply left the opposition in his dust. A couple of them were chip and chase thrillers that left defenders clutching at ear. I got to say, have a look at this kid. He is super quick. Fox League commentator Andrew Voss almost blew a gasket when he called Tabuai Fido's 80-metre kick and chase try against Brisbane. Hang on, is he the fastest man? We may have a new Fox. We may have a new Fox, Voss crowed. Move over Josh Adokar. He's lived up to the reps and he may be the quickest man in rugby league. It's always exciting to see these fellas who have got something that you can't coach. It's simply gas. And finally, in league news, just remember it's the start of round 5 in the NRL this evening, where the Brisbane Broncos head to Central Coast Stadium to play the Manly Sea Eagles. That game in Gosford kicks off at 9:50 p.m. this evening. So a tough task for the Broncos, having some issues of their own. That's it for league news today. I'll see you back tomorrow. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Stephen. It does always wonder if people say you can't teach pace. Well, why do you have sprint coaches then if you can't teach pace?
You make just that's to make them go even faster. I suppose it's about recognizing that talent, Paul, and getting them to unleash that talent. You find that a lot of guys who have actually got who are naturally quick have never had training. A classic example of that was John Olomu. You know, really quick. Obviously, those real fast twitch fibers that made him quick. But you know, you've still got to sort of release these guys' potential. Great to see. Just back to one of your rugby stories. Did you pick up on Nepo Laulala as well? What's happened? I read somewhere last night he's out of Super Rugby as well. So not great birthday news for Nepo Laulala or the Chiefs. What have they been doing during lockdown? It's just absolutely crazy. Maybe they had an internal game last week and picked up all these injuries. Methinks?
I haven't heard about that game, or I haven't heard about anything like that happening. But yeah, you are right that the Chiefs had seemed to turn their injury corner at the beginning of the season before lockdown, but now it seems to come back and to biting them. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Hugh asks us in the live chat, who's the fastest rugby league player you ever seen? And you got to say Martin O'Fire was absolutely rapid. He was fantastic. Chariot O'Fire, as he was known.
Former rugby player too, Paul. Who did he play rugby for?
So I can't remember who he played rugby for now, to be honest. He tried to convert, but he was definitely a leaguey who then gave rugby union a shot when it went professional. Could have been down in London somewhere with the Harlequins or something like that, I think. But I'm grasping at straws at that point, to be honest.
Paul, there's about 2 or 3 young kids in Australia that are out of that Australian secondary schools team, that rugby secondary schools team that beat New Zealand last year, who are all pretty much being courted by rugby league at the moment. And that just shows you the problem that our cousins across the ditch have in terms of retaining young talent, because it seems as though the rival code gets to cherry pick the best of them at a young age, and especially when you've got no money to hold them in.
Well, exactly. Money is the big thing, isn't it? And we've seen players like, I've gone blank as the inside centre playing for the Hurricanes, now Mape, who, yes, had the choice of either a professional contract with the Warriors or an academy contract, and you're going to take that professional contract, aren't you? Moving on to other news then, and just picking up on the New Zealand Sports Wire, the PSA, or the Professional Squash Players Association, has confirmed the suspension of their tour and all World Tour, Challenger Tour, and WSF and PSF satellite tour events has been extended until August the 16th. So yeah, squash off the table for the time being. Over in the Olympics, and the Olympics have said that they brought a ruling in January saying that no protesting was allowed during events or during medal ceremonies at the Olympics, and if they do, players could get thrown out of the Olympics. They're allowed to state their opinions during official media interviews, but not actually during the events themselves. So with athletes around the world backing Black Lives Matter by taking a knee, it's going to be interesting to see whether that gets enforced or what the situation is going to be in about 12 months' time when the Olympics takes place. Moving on, and Roger Federer is out for the rest of the season. He's decided it's a good time to have a knee operation, so he will be out for the rest of the season. So any discussions about him and having issues potentially going to any of the other tournaments is off the cards now. He will be over 40 by the time next season kicks off, but he has said that he is looking to be back for next season. So that is going to be fantastic to see. Let's hope he recovers well from that knee operation. Going on to the NZNBL draft that is happening this evening. It kicks off at 5 p.m. today. And as I've mentioned several times, I'm in the draft, but I'll be honest, I'm not expecting to be picked in one of the 12 rounds of selections. The Otago Nuggets have got that cherished first pick in round one. The order for the draft goes Otago Nuggets, Taranaki Mountaineers, Manawatu Jets, Nelson Giants, Canterbury Rams, Franklin Bulls, and then the Auckland Huskies. And then they alternate for the second round and keep alternating each round. Crowds will be, they're looking at having fans at the games in Auckland, but they're not going to be changing the schedule due to, or the format of the competition due to the reduction down to COVID level 1. Finally, UFC Fight Island. We have found out where it is. It is in Abu Dhabi. It's Yas Island, which is where the Formula One races also take place, and UFC has been held there before. UFC 251 will be there on the 11th of July, and there'll be further fight nights on the 15th, 18th, and 25th of July. And so that has all been set up, and Fight Island was not a myth. It was not a myth. A lot of people were thinking it might be in the Caribbean, but no, it is a private island down there. But no, it is over in the Middle East. So well done to UFC for getting that all set up. You have now started the day the best way, up to speed with all the important sports news. Don't forget, you can also listen to New Zealand Sports Radio as a podcast. Download us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, or your favourite podcatcher. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio.